Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1. We will make a presentation about Chapter 3. Before that, we will introduce my group or my crewmate. The first is me, Athallah Satin, and then there is Sifa Fauziah, Putri Naisha Rahayu, Aghifananda, and the last one is Ahmad, Farhan, Farabi. Okay, the first topic of chapter 3 is about popular fiction production process, and in contrast to literary works that are more concerned with values or elements of popular fictions, which are more readers oriented, provided that fiction can be sold and profitably will be produced. Therefore, the development of popular novels is not only caused by the channeling of the author's imaginations, but also involves many industries to compete for profit. Because of that, the development of popular novels is not only caused by the channeling of the author's imagination, but also involves several industries to compete to profit, and then novel production also deals with economics aspect. Okay, and then technological advance have also had a major impact on the production of popular fictions. Yes, publishing a novel, of course, depends on the development of printing. According to historical records, the printing press was first discovered around the year of 1450 by Johann Gutenberg, who came from Germany. Developed into an electronical typewriter in the 19th century. Due to advances in digital technology, publishers can now enjoy the convenience of publishing. The second topic of chapter 3 is about popular fiction and story elements. Fictional stories are generally expressed in two forms, namely novels and short stories. In its development, mixed form was born between in two forms. There is a form of short novels or novelette in novels. In short story, there are also forms of story that are longer and shorter. Popular fictions are novels that are entertainment in nature, while short stories are not entertainment in nature, causing novels to be more popular than short stories. However, in the history of popular literature everywhere, short stories or novelettes have hardly found popularity, with the exception of being packaged in a series. The reasons why this is due to the fact that the nature of popular fiction is entertainment. Being entertainment in nature only, the novel form is most likely, whereas short stories are often not entertainment in nature. The third point of chapter 3 is about narrative structure in popular novel. Narrative structure is used to refer to popular fictions, but it's traditionally referred to high literature called plot. A plot can be identified through the storyline, and the source of a story is a conflict. According to some literary experts, the method of plotting a storyline includes 5 parts: situation, generating circumstance, raising actions, climax, and denouements. Mostly, popular novel is identical to the ending, that happy ending. The next one is about narrative structure of popular fictions. Literary novels are more difficult to understand because more complicated. Popular novels are easier to understand because the logic of the narrative is simpler. The narrative structure in a novel is also more complicated. Thus, the story development, for example, the plot is not advanced, but the reader will find out after reading a few chapters. The key to creating reality in making the plot of a popular novel is reasoning. The important thing in plotting must be sensible, namely the presentation of the situation with the law of cause and effects.
Next is theme in popular novel. Theme is the main topic or discussion of a story, or we can say it as the message that authors want to tell. Authors have to be wise in choosing a theme for their stories and complement it by the author's skills in describing the characters of each role in the story. Themes in popular novel are usually simpler and will be dramatized as the main material of a story. There are two themes, major theme and minor theme. Major theme is the theme that animates the story and usually related to the experiences and personalities of the main characters, while minor theme is abstracted from various problems involving the experiences and personalities of the main and supporting characters. Popular fiction is basically to entertain, so the readers of popular novel can easily know the theme of a story through the title, the book's cover, or even the publisher. Characterization in popular novel. Popular novels usually have more characters. There are times when authors in popular novel only describe a few main characters, while the others are described briefly to explain the description of the main character. However, authors often bring many characters, each of whom is described completely, so such novels seem to be the concentration of several big characters. Characters in a novel are divided into two, static character and dynamic character. Static character is a type of character who remains the same throughout the course of the storyline, and a dynamic character is the opposite of static character who undergoes significant internal change throughout the course of the storyline. The characters in popular novel should think and act like a human in real life because that is what makes the readers interested in the story. Authors have to take advantage of their role of the characters who have values and ways like ordinary humans.
Setting or background is the place and time of the story. The story must be clear when and where the story happened. In popular novel, setting plays an important role even in many stories. The setting can determine the type of story itself. A high literary cannot be clear about the setting of the story because the story is presented in more human nature that can happen anywhere. On the other hand, the setting in popular novel can be anywhere because it used as a means of attracting the attention of the readers. One of the striking features of this type of story is the presence of spectacular scenes. The popular action type of adventure fiction more often not take place outside the everyday life to increase the intensity and dramatic effect of the scene that will be shown. Atmosphere. The function of atmosphere helps to emphasize the theme. For example, a story with patriotic theme brings out an atmosphere of heroism, knighthood, adventure, honesty, and so on. The atmosphere in story is generally built with the depiction of the main character. Readers are invited to feel joy or sad atmosphere with the main character. The main character is used to control the atmosphere of the story. It is also shaped by the style and the way of author arranges and chooses words, themes, review issues, or whatever. This atmosphere is usually emphasized in popular fiction more than any other element because it can usually make the reader visualize what is happening in the fiction.
Narrative film. Just like a novel, a film also has a narrative. While they have different media such as film with audiovisual and novel with verbal exposure, they also have different emphasis. Like novel with linguistic, therefore it is indirect and have high quality to learn. While film is imagistic, therefore it is immediate and very easy to take. There are three professions that criticize film, such as film reviewer, film critics, and film researcher. Film reviewers usually work for magazine or newspaper and give review based on the film story. Usually, they give review to whether they recommend the movie to watch or not, to whether the movie is watchable, recommended to watch or not. Film critics sees film as an art and give subjective review based on its artistical value. Film reviewer review the film as an art and product, so they give review just like almost like a film critics, but they also see it as how it affect the masses or the public. Characterization and point of view. In film, characters have their own roles. The example of such is the protagonist being the main character, where the story revolves around him and advances around him. The other is antagonist, to serve as a villain that needed to be defeated, or tertiary characters that serve to fill the world building in the story. Film also has a point of view that serves as a perspective on how a story is being told, such as first-person point of view that tells story from the one of the characters through his eyes and what he knows, and third-person point of view that tells story through omniscient perspective that know everything that happened, not just on the one side.
Editing. Editing is the process of cutting, linking, joining pieces of film from the shoot clearly and effectively. The meaning of film can be in the form of a series of meaningless photos that only become a narrative film after going through editing. Narrative filmmakers must be loyal to the themes and thus limit dramatization. Thus, the function of the editor is to arrange the narrative structure into a proportional way, create boundaries that support the themes, and at the same time highlight dramatic scenes. Another aspect of the editing process is tempo and rhythm. With rhythm, filmmakers can present films according to real life. Every day is full of rhythm, and that is what the film shoots. From the rhythm is took to have more impact than rhythm of poetry, because research into structure of the narrative in the film also includes rhythm analysis. Locution. Location, context, sound in popular film is an important item which is inevitable. In a location factor, it supports the success of reaching the audience, even though a narrative is not a novel that relies on verbal language. This factor is important. In locution, there are words that have a double meaning, namely denotative and connotative. The notative is the meaning as it is, while connotative is the meaning that refers to how the word is associated according to the meaning. The use of appropriate and attractive locution will attract the attention of the reader or audience. Through the locution of writers and filmmakers can express innovative things that can attract the attention and pleasure of the audience. Therefore, careful selection is needed.
And that concludes the presentation from Group 1. If there are some mistakes, we apologize. So, time to end it. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.